All right, so let's start with what is the goal of the Master Transportation Plan for Palm Beach County?
Well, the Countywide Transportation Master Plan is the opportunity for the county to sit down with the 39 municipalities and some other large agencies like Florida Department of Transportation, Broward, Martin County, sit down and really say, where do we see people moving? And it's not about adding more cars to the road because, quite frankly, any place east of 95, we can't add roadway. But how can we move people around better? What kind of mobility options do we have? Let's work on our bus system. Let's work on our rail system. Let's work on bike paths. Let's work on micromobility, circulators, something, carpooling. I mean, there's so many different things that we could do, but we all own roadways. So the county owns, we have enough roadway, the county owns enough roadway that you can go from Key West to Seattle.
Wow.
That's the mileage that we have in the roadway network that we maintain. Florida Department of Transportation has, state roads that come through our county. There's U.S. roads that come through our county. Then there's municipalities own, a lot of municipalities own roads too. And then there's private roads. So we're trying to figure out a way to join all of the municipalities along with the county to come up with a plan. And we're also looking at where do you think growth is going to occur in your city or growth is going to occur in the county. And if you're going to build a high rise or you're going to add density, what are you going to do about parking? Are you going to take away parking? So basically you're forcing everybody to figure out another way to get to home and work. Are you going to encourage scooters or e-bikes or anything of that nature? But if we know where the cities are going to grow, where they're going to develop, and hopefully it'll be on a network, like they call them TODs, and those are areas where you add density and intersections of major roadways. That's where you want to add people because it's easier for a bus to stop there or have some kind of transit opportunity. But as you said, you're out west. It's not easy to get a bus to go out west, or get a bus to go to Belglade, or get a bus even to go to the north end of the county. So let's figure out what cities need, what the county needs, and get input. As a matter of fact, we just finished our first basically 3 months was information gathering. We had a lot of meetings open to the general public for people to say what their concerns are. Where do you see traffic too heavy? Do you have ideas? Because sometimes people that are so far removed from the situation can say something that you're like, oh my God, why didn't we think of that? So we've been having these listening sessions around the county. We had our last one last night, which was actually a virtual one. Surveys were done. Can I say what our website is?
Sure.
pbcmoves.com. And this really gives you an outline of what we're trying to do. The greatest thing right now that I'm so happy about is of the 39 municipalities, 37 of them have uploaded documents onto the website for the WSP, that's the group that we brought in to do the analysis, for them to take it and look at where is development going to be. Where is the city thinking of adding a roadway network? Where are they thinking of adding sidewalks? Where are they thinking of doing bike lanes? Taking all that information, matching it with the county's information, and really say, here's your most trafficked area. The county also has something that's called its Safety Action Plan. And basically, we've taken 5 years, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it.
It's okay.
The Palm Beach County Safety Action Plan. So for 5 years, we've been collecting crash data. And ironically, there have been over 900 fatalities in Palm Beach County. And 20% of all the casualties and the accidents happen on only 5 roadways in the county. So let's look at those heavy trafficked roadways and see maybe there's a way we can actually do a dedicated bus lane, or maybe we can acquire some right of way for a bus to, pull out and then pull back in. Because how many times are you on a road where you stop, you're on a major roadway and the bus stops, and now you stop? And some of those bus stops are in questionable places, and you're now stopping traffic and you're causing accidents. You know, I think what we'll see in the future is we're going to see intelligent traffic lights that talk to each other. But really in the future, we're going to see traffic lights talking to cars. And so a car will be coming up to a traffic light, and the car will know that the light is red, so the car on its own will slow down. So when it gets to the traffic light, it will have slowed down enough that when it gets to the traffic light is now green. So we make moving cars better. There's also, they say that, you know, the slower you go, the closer a car can be to you. That's why you can have a lot of traffic on roads that are going 20, 30 miles an hour, right? The faster we go, you can't have that space. If we have AI that's helping us with traffic lights and talking to cars, and cars talking to each other, they'll be able to move down a road like this, as opposed to like this. Future. But we're taking the time now to figure out just where we can make improvements in the roadway network. That was a long-winded answer.
No, it was good. How much are you looking at what it takes to get less cars on the road?
That's a really good question. Less cars means, are you willing to give up your car? Am I willing to give up my car? Are my folks willing to give up their cars? Less cars on the road means almost making roads fail so people feel the need to find another way to get around. And there actually have been cities around the country that have done that. They have purposely failed their roadway network so people would get out of their cars and get on a bus or get on a train. That will be what cities and the county do when they're doing their parking requirements for whether it's a commercial building or a residential building. You know, are the parking requirements one parking space per bedroom? Or is it one parking space for 1,000 square feet? You know, with commercial, it's per square feet. So that would be a way to get less cars on the road, but it's a concerted effort of the person whether they want to get out of their own car or not. We do have something called Vision Zero, which is just a wishful program that we have in place for, we're trying to stop fatalities on roadway networks. It's a vision. I don't think it'll ever happen, but we're trying to make roadways safer. We have smart streets. So a lot of streets, I don't know if you've ever been on Shady Lakes Boulevard up in Palm Beach Gardens, which takes you to the district park, but it sort of meanders. And it's got cross sections that light up so people can see, you know, little lights on the roadway, and good tree line, wide sidewalk so bikes can be on the sidewalk. I think when you have newer developments that come in the future, you will see a lot more of that. A community like Avenir, they have a 12-foot wide sidewalk, which is technically a multi-use path, because they're encouraging people to get in golf carts. And we are looking at some golf cart legislation in the county, and where you can take them, and, you know, can you take them on a road that's 30 miles an hour or less? Does it have to be licensed? So we're looking at that opportunity too. So there's a whole lot of different things we're looking at to try to get people out of cars.
What I don't hear that you're saying, though, is all that much of improving of the public transportation that we do have now. Is there that much of it?
We would love to be, quite frankly, I would love to have people get on PalmTran. The county does spend a lot of money on PalmTran, but I think there's folks that think PalmTran isn't a good thing. And it has its own set drawbacks, because you know, if you're on the bus and you're in the north end of the county, you want to go to the south end of the county, you've got all those stops in between. I think what you will see is something that we actually already have in place right now is from Port St. Lucie to West Palm Beach, we have an express, and it's a coach bus. It's not a, you know, an industrial type bus. It's a coach. So you can do Wi-Fi and everything else you want. And I've actually talked to somebody at one of these meetings the other day who says he takes it and it's wonderful and he can do a lot of work when he's on the bus, but it's only certain hours of the morning and certain hours at night. But it's a pilot program that FDOT started because they wanted to see how they could start getting traffic off of 95. So it's a park and ride up in Port St. Lucie, and you get off at West Palm at the Palm Trans Station right there. And then, you know, there's circulators if there's a particular place that you need to go from there or walking distance. So I would like to see more of those east-west. You said you live west. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to take a bus that doesn't stop, picks you up someplace in Wellington, drops you off someplace east of 95, and maybe there's a park and ride at both places, or maybe there's an opportunity you get off the bus and you can get some kind of micro mobility that will take you that last mile. It's the last mile, the first mile, last mile, that keeps people from doing transit. And Palm Tran is, I think you'll see something in the future like that, more of those dedicated, but then I would love to be able to have a dedicated bus lane, you know. But acquiring right of way is an expensive proposition, especially if it's on a corridor where you're going to have a lot of density. So that's why we want the cities to tell us, where are you going to have your density? And let's design something efficient around it. But I would love to see a bus network that had a whole lot more people on it than it does now. And I'd love to see people take Tri-Rail more. I take Tri-Rail. I get on in Mangonia Park, and I get off it. I take it to Fort Lauderdale if I'm going to the airport, and I take it to Miami if I'm going on the airport. And I know the people I've met. I've met so many interesting people on Tri-Rail. So it's nice to have that. And we are looking at possibly expanding Tri-Rail if the dollars all work out, because, you know, we're having a lot of discussion with FDOT right now about Tri-Rail. But we've been talking to FEC Brightline about crossing over to the Brightline track so that you would have a little bit more closer to the coast. It's called Coastal Link, ironically. You know, like a station in Gardens, in Riviera Beach, Mangonia Park, North Palm. So you would be able to take, basically your Route 1 travelers would have an opportunity to get on a train. So yes, but again, that's all, we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to work with Tri-Rail, trying to work with Brightline, and also where you have a feasibility study right now that said, yes, a Tri-Rail station up near the VA hospital would be a benefit to the county. So they're doing a PD&E study, which is planning, development, and economic PD&E. I think I might have gotten that wrong. But it's really, what will it cost us to build it? Engineering, that's right, plan, design, and engineering. What will it cost us to put the station here? But a Tri-Rail station at the VA hospital in you know, the north end of the county would be a fabulous addition, because right now it stops in Mangonia Park. And Tri-Rail it's named that because of the 3 counties, and it doesn't go to the north end of our county. It stops in the middle of our county. So it'd be nice to get it to the north end.
It certainly seems that when the state made its decision announcement that it's going to cut the funding that goes to Tri-Rail, that it's a death knell for it. But it sounds like you want to keep it.
No, I think it's not a death knell. I don't think FDOT, there's more work that needs to be done, more discussion that needs to be had, because there are a lot of other things that travel on that rail line that isn't Tri-Rail. And why why should we as a county pay for things that don't benefit our residents or the folks that are in our county? So there's some work to be had, and I think you'll see some sort of a compromise in the future, because Tri-Rail basically takes an entire lane of roadway off of 95 each direction. That's how many people ride Tri-Rail. Even though people don't think that, that is how many people. So we can't build 2 more lanes on 95. You know, when you start acquiring all of this right-of-way, first off, it costs you a ton of money. But if you're acquiring right-of-way and there's businesses along that right-of-way, you're putting those businesses out of business. So then you don't need to, you don't need the roadway. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle.
I'm doing a story about Tri-Rail, and I went and rode to school with some of the hundreds of kids that take it to school. And it's certainly remarkable, because kids in Boca, West Point would not be able to go to Dreyfus or all of these special choice schools if it wasn't for Tri-Rail being able to bring it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the amount of people that would then be on I-95.
I don't even want to think about it.
Because I think that's one of the people who are hearing Tri-Rail might go away are sitting back going, well, I don't ride
What difference
Tri-Rail
does it
anyway.
make?
It doesn't matter to me.
Correct.
Well, it's going to affect their commute every day.
Yeah. So that'd be it. We need to figure out what will get people on Tri-Rail, and what is their preconceived notion of Tri-Rail versus what Tri-Rail truly is. And I'm happy to take Tri-Rail. So my preconceived notion is, I don't want to get in my car and get on 95 and drive to Lauderdale Airport or drive to Miami Airport. Lauderdale, you get off and there's a little shuttle that takes you to the airport. Miami takes you right in to the airport proper. So I can't think of anything easier.
So what are their preconceived notions that you hear when you talk to people?
The preconceived notions are that it's not a higher end service. And I think that's unfair. I think that's unfair because it's servicing all walks of life, and that's not what people think. But it does. All walks of life. And if we're servicing students by Tri-Rail and you want to get rid of that, now how do these kids get to school? So Tri-Rail is for everyone, and the preconceived notion is that it isn't. But everyone rides Tri-Rail. So I'd like to see more people do it.
How about the chief financial officer has said publicly that Palm Beach County has an issue with how much money it's giving to paratransit. And I'm sure you've heard this soundbite and have to talk about this soundbite. How did you feel about that when you heard that?
I believe that we should actually revisit all of the services that PalmTran offers. PalmTran Connect, Paratransit, and just the regular buses. And the county has actually gone beyond the scope of what we legally had to do. We really made it a very, very expensive service by doing that. And we need to do a better job of how we're monitoring and what's the distance that folks have to travel, what is their true ability to use paratransit. It's a work in progress. It really is a work in progress. And I know the CFO said that, but we also as a county, we're in a very different position than most other counties because we are the largest county by land mass in the state of Florida. We go from the richest, the island of Palm Beach, to those who are the most needy in Belgrade, Pahokee, and South Bay, and everything in between. And we go from the ocean, we go to Lake Okeechobee, and it's like 45 miles. So if you are living in Belgrade and you need to get to somebody who's medically going to take care of you, but they're in West Palm, it's an issue. How do you make that service available? And it's not cheap. And that is our biggest problem, is the cost of the service. And we do get state grants and federal grants to run PalmTran, and we use a lot of those for PalmTran Connect, and for the opportunity for those that are not mobile to get around the county. It's a work in progress, and I hate to say that, but if we just got rid of all the service, what do? If we get rid of several lines, and we do that periodically with the bus lines, instead of the coverage model, we went to the frequency model, and more people started riding the bus. So what are the things that work and what are the things that don't? And we have pilot programs that show us what does and what doesn't. So little by little, and we have a new director for PalmTran now, Ivan Maldonado, and we are working through those items. And we are going to try to figure out to make it more cost effective, even if it's maybe some sort of privatization of parts of the system. And that could happen. And with that, we would do it if it does save the county money, but still gives the services that we're looking for.
Bringing up the privatization, is that this paratransit only, or is there a possibility with that in Tri-Rail as well?
Well, Tri-Rail, that's another story. Paratransit, I could see it happening. Tri-Rail, I could see more P3s, public-private partnerships happening. And with Tri-Rail, I think the counties need to be given an option to really monetize it better than we do. And if we were able to monetize it better, is there some way we can do more effective advertising, like we do on some of the PalmTran buses where we have advertising and we're selling that advertising space? Is there a way that we can monetize that brings our costs down? And I think everything's on the table when we're talking about Tri-Rail and PalmTran.
You talked about all the things that make Palm Beach County unique in terms of, and the chief financial officer kind of going over what he's doing. Do you get the sense that there is good faith from that office that they are understanding all the things that make Palm Beach County different when it gives us its audit?
We did something a little different here in Palm Beach County than the rest of the state. We welcomed Doge. We really did. We had a video out before they came, welcoming them, asking them to look at us as a partner, help us with a roadmap that you see works. Sometimes when you have eyes that haven't looked at something over and over and over again, they see something that you might not have. It's kind of like we did with this, where someone from the public might say, well, why didn't you try this? We've been working hand in hand with Doge. They've come back to us a couple times and asked for information about this and information about that. And we've been very happy to give it to them. And I believe they understand the uniqueness of our county. We have the president here. I'm the mayor to the president of the United States. We're in a very unique position. And public safety is number one for us. And public safety is the biggest part of our budget, of our taxpayer-funded budget. We have a big budget. We're over $9 billion in our budget, and we're only about a little over $2 billion of that is what we collect in tax dollars. Sheriff's budget is over $1 billion, so he gets 50% of the budget. Fire department gets about 22% of the budget. So that leaves only 28% of the tax dollars that we collect going to every other service that we give our residents and our business owners. Roadway maintenance, our beaches. We talk about beach nourishment and renourishment, but the infrastructure of our beach network is so important because that keeps all of the infrastructure next to the beach in place. Stormwater maintenance. We have utility departments that's only a little bit of those dollars get paid for by tax dollars because those are enterprise funds like the Palm Beach County water utilities and the airport. But I mean, all of our emergency operation centers, that's taxpayer dollars. So it's really not that large of a portion of our budget that we as a county actually get to use.
Well, it seems like they're going after, and tell me if I'm wrong, human services.
They are.
You know, so do you already have an idea of what kind of human services things that Palm Beach County provides that DOJ is going to go publicly talk about?
You know, they made a couple of questions here and there, and I think they've seen how well we use our dollars to help our residents and how well we partner with the nonprofit community to offer services that we would like to offer, but we can't. You know, we just don't have the reach of a nonprofit, say like the homeless. So as they look at it, remember, the state also gives dollars to nonprofits. I mean, they wrote $1 million check to the L Center, and we partner with the L Center. So I think sometimes it's just a gentle reminder that we're offering services to those folks that need it the most. And if we can do that, we keep the problem doesn't grow. I would rather give someone first, last, and security so they can be in an apartment. Because how hard is it to come up with first, last, and security? So we have a rental, we have a rental program. You found someone, they've got a roof over their heads. It keeps them out of trouble. And that's basically what we try to do when we're partnering with any agency that's giving us that benefit. Educating people, the Lord's place, you know. There's so many, well, you and I cross paths on the nonprofit stage so many times, and there are so many nonprofits that do such good work here, and that's what the county, I think what the state sees from the county is we are trying to make those dollars go a very, very long way, whether it's a matching grant or just a flat out word first, last, and security, or some sort of a down payment assistance program, or a first-time buyer program. It's the county can't do everything. We're not in that business, but we are in the service business. And we, as an organization that's in the service business with the budget we have, we're a Fortune 500 company. That's hard to take. That's hard to really grasp.
Right, yeah.
Really get your hands around.
So are we still waiting for DOJ to just kind of drop a report?
I think what DOJ is going to do with us and probably with other counties is, little by little, they'll ask for more information and they'll give us some recommendations. We actually did take one of their recommendations when we did several meetings ago. There was a Criminal Justice Commission grant that we sunsetted it early. And that was a response to information that we had gotten from DOJ. We've been doing little things internally. I don't think there's going to be some huge, you're an awful county and you're spending too much money. I don't think you'll find that. Because I think first off, the partnership that we set in place with DOJ to begin with set us on the right path. We've never been antagonistic about it. We welcomed them. That makes a difference. We want to work with them. We want to show that we can be efficient with our dollars. And we're also, too, as a county, you know what? Let's really see where we can cut 10% of our budget. Or if this department is hit, how do we adjust that in the future? How do we really, truly look at things in a more economical way? And I think as a county with our new administrator, we're trying to do that. So we're doing all the right things that a county is supposed to do. But I also say, people want to be here. We are, and Kelly Smallwood would love that I'm saying this, we are Wall Street South. We do partner with business. They are coming here. So we're doing something right. And working with our municipalities in the county, we are doing something right. People want to be in Palm Beach County.
I don't think anyone debates that, or we would ever debate that. The one thing that I think about, though, is just I don't know if Blazingoli is going to be able to walk into the governor's office and say, Palm Beach County, they're doing really good. We don't really need to do much there. Because the whole effort, there's a major effort for him to go around the state and show that all of this Doge work is making a major change.
I think the most important thing about what Doge is trying to do is truly say, where are you wasting money? And are you wasting money? And I'm sure there are areas all over the state that are not being as cautious or as careful with their dollars as they could be. And sometimes it's not until someone says to you, really look at how you're spending it. Have you been doing it the same way for 20 years and you're just checking a box? Those are probably the programs that any county will say, you know what, we have been doing it that way for the last 20 years. Let's relook at that. And we relook at that and AI helps us to be more efficient and saves us $10 million, that's a great thing. Thank you, Doge, for getting us to do that, for poking us or prodding us a little bit to do that. That's what every county should be doing right now, and every municipality. Do we get lazy sometimes? Everybody. I don't care who you are. Everybody gets lazy sometimes. And sometimes change is what makes that effort become less lazy.
As you have seen Doge go to other counties, what they're pointing out.
I haven't heard that here.
Okay. I guess my point is, how much of what they're coming back with is you agree, yes, that's a waste, and how much do you believe is, no, we're just having a disagreement about where taxpayers should go, what tax money should go?
Well, we haven't truly gotten here's the list of where you're wasting money. We haven't gotten that. We have gotten questions from them. We've answered their questions. Will there be a report? I think Doge will probably come back a dozen more times. But the point is, the point of Doge is to make counties and cities really take a look at how they're spending their dollars. And that's what we're doing. We do it every day because we build our budget. It's not like we wait until August to build our budget for September. We build our budget every day. And how can we be more efficient? And will AI make us more efficient? A lot of things that I hear about AI is, yes, it can do things more rapidly, but you still need to check the work. So it's not like it's going to get rid of a whole department. It's not. But it'll make that department more efficient. I think one of the things that you'll see the county do, and we've actually, this came about from a board direction last year, is I think what you'll see is our new administrator and staff go through all of the jobs that we have at the county. How many jobs are vacant? How many jobs have been vacant for a year? Do we have the right amount of staff in each department? Do we have too many departments? Is there consolidation that can take place? We have over 7,000 employees. So if you think about it, that's probably the biggest portion of our budget, are the employees. Low-hanging fruit. What's the low-hanging fruit? But getting rid of something that's $100,000 isn't going to have any impact. Getting rid of something that's $10 million will have impact. So when you're looking at your budget and you're building your budget, and all of a sudden something was $1 million this year and it's $10 million next year, why? Let's look at that. Did we not make improvements along the way that now all of a sudden we have to build a whole new structure? So there are things to look at, but I think we're going to start as a county, and as the administrator will do in the coming year, is really look at how many employees do we have, how many do we need, how many do we have, per 1,000 residents, and how many per 1,000 residents do we have now versus 10 years ago? Have we gone like this and now we're creeping back like this? And are we still providing the services necessary to keep us a AAA rated county by all 3 rating agencies in the United States? That is a very unique position that we're in. So we've done it right, but we can always do it better. And sometimes we need an outside agency to come in and help us with that. And that's what DOJ is doing.
We got kind of rerouted, but I do want to go back.
Well, you and I, we're good at going off on tangents.
So, you looked through or sat through some of these public speakings about the transportation?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure
As a matter of
there's.
fact, I did this week.
Great.
But we had one at Palm Beach State College up in North County.
I'm sure there's plenty of people race by my house and I don't like it, or it's too long for me to get to XYZ. But is there something that has stuck out that people are talking about all the time, or something that you've gone like, this is really something we need to do, work on?
Really, how do we be more efficient with our roadway network? Like I said, we're not going to build more roads, but is there a way to add a bike lane? Is there a way to add a multi-use path? Is there a way to have a dedicated bus route? And I think what I'm hearing from most people is congestion. So how do we become less congested? And that's what, when we get all of the information from the municipalities and the county and counties north and south of us, because a road doesn't know where it begins and where it ends, and it could wind through how many municipalities before it gets from Martin County to Broward. How do we keep people safe in their whatever mode of transportation they're in? How do we keep them safe? How do we get them to work on time? And how do we get them to feel that I don't always have to be that person driving my own car? I can Uber, I can ride share. Park and rides, if we had the property to do park and rides, maybe people would be more inclined to ride share. And that'll be on us to look at what land is vacant, what is the highest and best use of that land. Is it close to 95? Could we put a park and ride on 95 near, at Okeechobee Boulevard? So now all of a sudden you're taking all that traffic east and west and you're condensing it because people are riding together. How do we encourage people to get in the car with someone else and feel safe?